Hello, and welcome to the It's a Start podcast, the podcast where climate action meets individual and business ambition. My name is Anna, and I'm your host for today's episode. In this podcast, we invite guests to come on and speak to us about what climate action means to them. And today I'm joined by three very lovely ladies who all work at Jacobs and recently took part in the National Fuel Change Big Tons Challenge. And with us today, we have Alicia, Hannah and Sarah. How are you ladies all doing today?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Good. Excited to have you on here. Thank you for joining us. So before we get started, let's just take a minute to introduce yourselves to our listeners. So, I don't know, name, age, what you're up to, what's the weather like, anything like that to yourselves. So, Alicia, let's start with yourself.
Yeah, so hello everyone. I'm Alicia. I'm currently based in Cardiff. Work at Jacobs as a graduate transport planner, and today's weather, it's a gorgeous week. It's hot, it's the heat wave, and the last thing will be to be inside. So as soon as it's clock off time, definitely gonna get some rays.
Nice. Hannah.
Yeah, I'm Hannah. I'm 24, currently in the Manchester office at Jacobs. I'm a mechanical engineer in building services sector. The weather here is beautiful. I've just got back off holiday though, so it doesn't compare too much to that with a beach and the Mediterranean, but it'll do.
Oh, where were you?
Ibiza.
Oh, nice. Sarah.
Yep, hi, I'm Sarah. I'm 25 and I'm a graduate transport planner based in Jacobs Edinburgh office. And yeah, sun is shining, so looking forward to getting finished up today.
Brilliant. So let's just get started with this. So let's go very back to the beginning. How did each of you come to hear about Fuel Change and the Challenge programme? Sarah, we'll start with you.
Yeah, so Jacobs were actually one of the challenge setters. And so a director in our organisation contacted graduates in our line of business encouraging us to take part. So yeah, I decided to sign up as it sounded like a really good opportunity to meet new people and work on something new.
And Hannah, what was it that kind of particularly piqued your interest about, Fuel Change and this challenge programme, and what was it that kind of got you going?
Well, I'd only been at Jacobs for about a month when I got the email from the same director. And I was quite new to Manchester as well because I used to live in Edinburgh before, so I didn't really know anyone. So I just wanted to meet new people and find people who had shared the same values as me, so around sustainability and things like that.
And Alicia, what about yourself?
Yeah, quite similar to be honest. I think having joined Jacobs about a month in, so recently new, and back at the time we were all still on Zoom, so I think the best way to meet new people was to get into different challenges and teams, and also the creativity of the idea. It was just a bit nice. Apart from my day-to-day work was quite logistics and data, so it was quite nice to use the brain's creative flow.
Yeah, a wee bit of a break from the day job, I think it's quite nice sometimes, actually.
Yeah.
So, were any of you at that point interested in climate change? Was that something that was on your mind? And don't worry, you can be completely honest here. Don't feel like you have to say you were.
I think I was, on a very surface level, I tried to do things that everyone kind of tries to do, the recycle. I've definitely tried to, stop shopping fast fashion. But I definitely wanted to get involved more and see it from a business perspective. I felt like I just kept seeing it from a very personal perspective.
Yeah, were any of you in the same boat?
Yeah, I think, recently a lot of documentaries on, Netflix I would say as well, so I was a bit more conscious about the environment and food wastage, and just even from, like Hannah said, from a business point of view, you think you're more environmentally conscious as an individual, but not on that bigger platform. So it'd be quite interesting to see how it's on a bigger scale. So, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And it's interesting as well to hear that you guys mostly wanted to get involved because some of you were quite new to the organisation. So you saw this as an opportunity to get involved with something a bit different, to maybe meet some new people and things like that. So a range of sort of different reasons as to why you got involved, which is quite nice to hear. So when you signed up and you were all thrown together into this team, it doesn't sound like any of you knew each other beforehand. How did that go?
Yeah, so we're actually all based in different parts of the UK, England, Wales and Scotland. So it was quite nice actually, because I do like a lot of, which really helped, because I do like a lot of meetings online with like countries in Poland and in India. So I'll never get to meet them people. So like this challenge really helped me to bond with people like literally just over a camera and a microphone, rather than like seeing them in the human form. It was a bit challenging at first, because like as you said, we'd never met each other before, and I feel like it always takes a minute to get over that awkwardness to start with. But it definitely, after, I'd say it took a few weeks, but we definitely like cracked it.
Good. And Sarah, how did you find because I know one of the tools that is used in the challenge program initially is the 16 personalities Myers-Briggs test. Sarah, how did you find that?
Yeah, no, it was definitely interesting because we all came up with very different answers to that quiz when we all did it. So it was a great example of how you do need lots of different kinds of people to build a successful team.
And what about for yourself, doing that test? I mean, the test is something I love. I love that sort of like being self-aware and learning more about my strengths. You know, when you're reading through it and you're like, oh my God, this is me. This is just me. How was that for each of you? Was that a surprise? Did you learn something new?
I got the commander one. Actually,
that's the same as me.
And reading through it, I was like, wow, it is spot on. And I actually got everyone like in my team, like my work team, to do it as well.
Oh, really? So you're actually able to then take that and use it in your
like
day-to-day job?
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. Alicia, what about you?
Yeah, I think I got the advocate one. So I was the introvert of the group. But I thought it was a really good, insightful test. I think the 16 personality one. I remember I first took it at sixth form, and I still had the same 4 letters as I do now. So I think you can,
nice.
Yeah. So I think it's quite good as well if you take it different stages of your life as well. See if you're still like the same character. But I know what you mean. You read through it and you think, wow, are they actually reading into my brain? But it's good to know as well, like your teammates, different personalities, and like Sarah was saying, we're all different, and I think that kind of worked as well.
Nice, that worked quite well for you. And did you find yourselves reflecting on that? You know, were you reflecting on, oh, Sarah's strength is this, but Hannah's not so good at that? And, you know, did you use that at all?
I think we kind of just fell into the roles that we kind of got. Yeah, I don't know if anyone else kind of agrees.
I think I was more conscious, because picking up on like the introverted point, I was more conscious to not, if I had like a thought on my mind, just actually speak out to the team. I think that was one of the tips as well that kind of helped us gel more together. The more honest and open we were with each other, the quicker the whole like process went and getting to know each other. So I think I was just more conscious of don't hold back, because normally in a group situation I would, but I think it's really difficult if you're online. You've got to kind of like be a bit more extroverted, because it doesn't really quite come out on screen.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I forgot you were an introvert, actually. I remember you being like the advocate. I forgot you got the introvert side of it.
Yeah.
Like that definitely that definitely didn't come across.
We saw the extroverted side. There's a whole new you. Amazing. So, I mean, after that, and you then got a chance to look through the different challenges, can you explain to us what challenge it was that you chose and why you chose that challenge? Anyone can take this one.
So in the end, we went for CBI's Economic Model Challenge. I think we just wanted to choose something completely different to the work that we do in our current roles and really challenge ourselves further. And it also felt like a really broad challenge. So we liked the fact that we could come up with several solutions and, you know, work together to find the best one.
So was there anything in particular that interested you about it? Was it very much that fact that it was just totally different to your day job, and you guys seem pretty ambitious and you wanted to just jump in and go for something completely different?
Yeah, I think we wanted to do something that was really different. I mean, I do completely different jobs to Alicia and Sarah anyway, so it would have been hard to kind of match us all up. So I think going down the route of something completely different really suited our team. And we kind of wanted to go back to our company and show them something that still suited Jacob's values. And after like looking into CBI, we felt like their values resonated with our companies. So that was really nice. We had like the kind of broad scope, the values in common. But yeah, we just wanted to dive right in.
Nice. So for those who are listening and maybe didn't know exactly what the challenge was, and I don't know if you can remember it exactly, but roughly what was that challenge asking you to look at?
So it was called the Economic Model Challenge, and it was to kind of just develop a business sustainably. If I'm remembering correctly, it did seem like that broad.
Wow.
It was a really broad question, but I think that's the major reason why we actually chose the question, because we didn't want to narrow down. Well, at the start we didn't have a particular idea anyway, so we didn't want to like narrow ourselves down right from the start. So yeah, it was a really broad question.
Amazing. So Sarah, after you chose your challenge, you decided you want to do the economic model one. What was your next steps? What happened after then?
I think we always kind of set up regular meetings, and we had a kind of, I guess I'd call it just an ideas workshop. We were all just trying to come up with every possible idea that we could, and yeah, it got quite collaborative. You know, whenever we started to kind of narrow down what we thought was the best idea, we were then able to just build on it, and yeah, I think that was when we really came together as a team.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. So when you were, sorry Hannah,
I was just going to say, at the start we was like throwing anything into the ring, and then we kind of decided that we were going to do something, we didn't know what, centered around an app, and we were thinking of like deliveries, things to do with, we talked about like fast fashion deliveries, like nothing to do with food at the start, and then one day, I think it was Alicia, I might be wrong, but she kind of said something and I was like, oh, it's quite a good idea about the food wastage.
Yeah, because your guys' solution was all about tackling food waste in a way, wasn't it? And when you were doing some of your research around that challenge and learning more about the impact that, food waste, or even just the impact that we as humans have on the environment and the economy, was there anything that surprised you? Alicia, was there anything that stood out to you?
I think in terms of basically in terms of like being surprised, we did do some market research for our idea, and I was surprised the fact that generally females are more environmentally conscious compared to males, and there's a lot more like the young adults are again a lot more environmentally conscious. I'm not sure then if we are more environmentally conscious to actually go through the actions with it. I think the whole reason why like the idea of the food wastage, I just thought, well, we need to make this idea kind of relatable. And so throughout uni, I used to just pop to like the local store and think, oh, I'll just buy, the foods on the reduce side. I'll just get this and, help out. And then that's how it kind of all triggered off as well. But yeah, I was a bit surprised to think females are generally more conscious about their purchasing and environmental concept, really.
I'm so glad you said that, because that is a point that I want to revisit with you later on in this podcast. So keep that in your head. But you've been hinting at it a little bit throughout this. Do you want to tell us, tell myself and the listeners, what exactly was your solution? Talk us through what your idea was.
Yes. So like Hannah was saying, we created an app called Tap for Taste. And essentially the idea was so customers can go onto the app, and they will be located to their nearest food store, so say like a mini Tesco or Sainsbury's, and they will list out the reduced food items of that day. So you could go on the app and reserve the item, and then it encourages people to walk or cycle to the store, so like not encouraging people to drive to the store. So like you're promoting active travel and reducing car usage, and then people just collect their reduced food item at the store. And then again, then the shops are reducing their own food wastage. I think as well, like I used to work at the cooperative, and the amount of food wastage by the end of the day was shocking, to be fair. And that's just like one store. So if you collectively think of all like the local stores by the end, how much food wastage will be. Essentially, that was the concept of the idea.
Yeah, and we was like thinking of all these like bits to add on to the app as well. So we were thinking, how could we like encourage people to download it? And we tried to incorporate like a competitive element. So like who's reduced their carbon emissions the most by walking to the store instead of using a car, and competing in your local area, competing like nationwide, just trying to like do anything to stand out in that app market where there's so many of these kind of apps going on at the minute.
That's amazing. Sarah, was there anything throughout there, because of course when you're on the challenge programme you go through certain tutorials where you learn things like, circular economy and all those bits and bobs, the sort of sustainability pillars and things like that. Sarah, when you were learning about these things, were you guys as a team actively trying to incorporate them into your solution, or did you more so follow the path that your solution was taken and then think about those things afterwards?
I think it was a combination, because you mentioned a brilliant example, the 3 pillars of sustainability. That was something that was important to us, and it's something that we feel that our app does definitely achieve. So yeah, I'd say a combination of kind of just how our idea developed, but also you did kind of, those workshops were great at kind of inspiring you as well and how to incorporate all those elements.
Did you have a favourite workshop at all?
I was just going to build on the 3 pillars, just saying like we did try and hit each of them. So we said the economic benefits would be to the stores, that they can sell the produce that they may need to throw away that obviously wouldn't get bought, that environmentally obviously stops that needless food wastage. And encourages people to walk or cycle. And then societally, with hopefully the competition element, it would like boost people's morale, the community.
Amazing. And did you have a favourite workshop or tutorial at all, or one that made you think, oh my god, I didn't know that?
I quite like the Disney one we had. It was right at the start, and I feel like that's how we chose our ideas. Like we actually set up one of our sessions to work. You spend 10 minutes throwing all the ideas out there, 10 minutes sort of being negative towards the ideas, and then kind of 10 minutes like focusing on like the couple that you've really narrowed down. I thought that really helped us, and we actually used that one as like a base as one of our first sessions.
Sarah, what about you?
Yeah, actually, I'm copying Hannah now, but the Disney method we did, that was one that we did genuinely. I remember that ideas workshop I mentioned, where we're just putting all the ideas out there. That was the process we followed. So
that is a favourite.
Yeah, no,
for sure.
Definitely helped.
You're not the only people to say that. And I know for certain the team who work on putting together a challenge programme will be delighted to hear you say that. In the challenge programme, you're working towards this sort of final presentation where what happens is you present your solution to a panel of industry judges. So can you explain to us a little bit about how that went for you, and what preparation did you either do as a whole team or even individually? Is that something that you've done before?
I think preparation-wise, again, our meetings, we always had like regular meetings anyway, so we always like kept in touch, but also we had our mentor, Jennifer, and she was really helpful. I think we did a practice session with Jen as well, and she just given us some tips and advice. And then internally, we also did a practice session to some of our senior managers. And yeah, I think just kind of like taking their feedback on board and then just tailoring our presentation. But before the actual day, it was very nerve-wracking. But it was nice that we were kind of all going through the experience together as well.
Hannah, what about you?
Yeah, it was. I thought it was weird trying to practice and like do the presentation all virtually. It wasn't even just like we were together and then presenting it virtually. It was we were all trying to coordinate everything virtually. So that was a challenge because I'd never had to do that before at uni. We'd always managed to kind of meet up or something like that. Or we recorded them all, like we recorded our sections separately and then like kind of stitched it together in a presentation. So to do it live like that, it was definitely good that Jen and like our internal mentors here at Jacobs could watch us and help us and advise us on how to make it a bit more seamless.
And Sarah, how did it go on the day? How was that?
Actually, I think it went well overall looking back, and yeah, especially considering, as the other said, about how kind of nervous we were beforehand. Even though we did have those practice runs, it's always more nerve-wracking on the day. It went quite well, and it sparked a really interesting discussion about kind of additional social value and other elements we could incorporate. And yeah, it led to a really interesting discussion. So that was good.
Good. And what did you take away from that experience personally? You talk about everyone was nervous before you do a presentation. You always are. It doesn't matter if you've done presentations every day of your life. I always get nervous. Everybody does. So from that experience in preparing for a presentation and delivering it, what did you each learn individually about yourselves or about your abilities, or maybe even a wee bit more about your strengths and weaknesses?
I thought that it seems obvious, but like just being honest, saying whatever is like kind of on your mind. If someone says an idea and it might not be that you don't disagree, you might not understand it. So just kind of always speaking up and asking things if you're not sure. And I'd always say like having your camera on helps as well, especially when you've never met like in person. Like it helps so much having your camera on and your mic's always on. But just putting a face to who you're speaking to, it's definitely helped me.
Yeah.
And I try and do that more now in my meetings, like in work, even if the other person doesn't, because what I find is the next meeting they'll go and put it on and it's like, oh, that's like, I feel like I can connect with them more when that happens.
That's really interesting, especially in this kind of post-pandemic world of virtual meeting people. You can't really build a connection with somebody when it's a blank screen.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Alicia, what about you?
I think one of the biggest takeaways is just like be kind of open-minded to like new ideas, and kind of we all chose a challenge that was out of our comfort zone, and I think just learning a lot more different aspects like from our day-to-day work. But yeah, being open-minded, and like Sarah said, the discussion led to like broader topics, and it was just interesting to hear people's ideas. But definitely cameras on when you're trying to connect with people, because yeah, it's just easy to communicate as well. Well, easier to communicate when your cameras are on.
Yeah, for sure. And what was it like having that opportunity to present to industry representatives who you guys had never, I don't think you'd ever met them before, had you?
No.
No? And so how valuable was it to get their feedback?
Yeah, no, definitely. It meant a lot, especially, as you said, they're all highly experienced in the industries they work in, and to get some really positive feedback and to have that interesting discussion, it was a huge confidence boost. And yeah, I think we all said afterwards we came away quite proud of our idea.
Yeah, they said the discussion like provoked a lot of things that we hadn't actually thought about before, and the practice runs that we'd had as well, like they'd obviously asked us questions, but it brought up things that they hadn't either. So it was really good to see how the questions were so different from an industry perspective to kind of us doing it to like maybe our friends or like consultancy or like our colleagues, things like that.
Yeah, it was, sorry, just to follow on that point, it was actually interesting because, like, in a sense, we kind of did a presentation 3 times. Because we did it to Jen, to like our managers internally, and then the actual real presentation. But each like feedback and discussion after was just all different. So like normally before you can kind of like try and prejudge and guess like, oh, what type of things are they going to ask? But to be fair, we didn't have a clue. So yeah, it was quite strange how like each time it was just different, but it was good curveballs every time.
Good, keeps you on your toes. And you learn from that a lot, actually. So how has that impacted even you in your own personal career and your own skills?
I think personally for me it's more, if you do have like, I think in interviews you think, oh, I shouldn't really or even if you're on a Teams call, I want to ask that question, or it might sound a bit silly, but I'm asking a lot more questions now than I used to, and I think people actually do appreciate if you ask more questions, because it shows you're interested and you're actively listening. You're not just passively being like, yes, okay. So I ask a lot more questions now.
Well, definitely. What about you, Sarah?
Yeah, kind of similar point. I think sometimes when you're, a graduate or a more junior staff, if you're on meetings with managers, it can be quite nerve-wracking to put your ideas forward. So I'd say, yeah, the challenge has definitely taught us, I think, to just, don't be afraid to put your ideas out there.
Good. So we're all more confident when it comes to talking to people who are like a wee bit higher up than us in an organisation. That's really good. So tell me if I'm right in saying this, but in addition to your fuel change final presentation to judges, did you guys also get the opportunity to present your idea to like your senior management within Jacobs? And was that after you did your fuel change presentation?
Yes, it was a few weeks after we did it, and it was to kind of the like really upper senior level management, so people that we'd never met on calls either, I don't think. Well, I hadn't either. It was that, I think that was in a way kind of more nerve-wracking, because we kind of knew them, we knew their names from like kind of the business, but we had never met them, whereas when we did it to fuel change, it was kind of to people we'd never met or people like around us had never met. So sometimes it's worth doing it to people you half know, but having the fuel change presentation go so well really helped us, I think, be confident in delivering that presentation.
And that's an amazing opportunity for like senior people within Jacobs to have recognised your own achievements. And getting their feedback, how was that for you guys in terms of just being recognised as, hello, here I am, I work for Jacobs, this is me?
It was really good actually, because it might have taken us maybe a few years in like our roles to be recognised, because obviously, well, for me, I'm still like learning my role. I don't expect to do anything too impactful. Like that's so out of the box at the minute because I'm still learning the ropes. Whereas this was really nice to be recognised for something that we did because we were passionate about it as well.
And Alicia, what were you going to say there?
Yeah, I was just going to say it definitely was a confidence booster. Not going to lie, but yeah, it was. But again, it was nerve-wracking presenting to them all, but again, they're all supportive and gave additional comments that we hadn't received before. So it was a great opportunity as well to just present in front of our team, and the other teams were also invited as well. So that was cool.
And Sarah, would you say that participating in the challenge programme and getting that opportunity to present to senior people within Jacobs and the external people from Field Change as well, has that positively impacted your career and allowed you to develop skills that you just now are able to use in your day-to-day role, and even a wee bit you can just put on your CV?
Yeah, no, definitely. It's definitely helped us with, I think, kind of getting our name known a bit within Jacobs, but also externally as well.
My takeaway from this challenge as well, I think it's kind of like reinforced that the passion for active travel for me personally, like as a transport planner, we trying to promote public transport, but a lot of it now I want to be a lot involved in more active travel projects. I think especially post-COVID, I do recognise a lot more people are walking and trying to cycle, especially here in Cardiff. We can see like more cycle lanes are being put in place and people are actively trying to walk. But personally, I'd like to be more involved in active travel rather than just junctions and promoting car usage. So, yeah.
That's really interesting though, because you've been able to, I don't know if you had that sort of connection to it beforehand, but now being a wee bit more exposed to the issue of climate change and what that means for us, and now you're able to actually apply, well, this is my job role and I can now passionately get involved in these alternative modes of transport, like you're saying.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, like you said, it's kind of applying the passion to the actual job. Whereas, like, you're not just looking at a job because it's a job. You're looking at it now, it's more like it actually does help people.
And having now done the challenge and you've presented to, your seniors and things, do you believe that you can have a difference, that you can make a difference when it comes to tackling climate change within your job roles or within your personal life, all those bits and bobs?
I feel a lot more confident speaking to people in my team about climate change, like my friends, just because like I've been involved in this challenge and I've had that different exposure to just the usual ones that you kind of see on the news or when you're scrolling on Instagram. So it's made me feel like I at least can make some sort of impacts like on a personal level, and hopefully like can influence like my friends and family and colleagues to make some changes as well.
I think it sparked interest within my immediate team. So obviously I've told my line manager, my teammates back in the Cardiff office I was part of this challenge, and then there was more questions about what is Field Change Challenge, and then it's the topics of discussion about climate change within our team, and they may have talked to so and so and word of mouth. So I think, but also then personally kind of like addressed my own like what am I doing to tackle climate change, because I think we all need to do it individually, but then it's coming all together, and especially like as an organization, companies, that's like another level really then. So we can only just do our bit really.
Definitely. And we touched on this a little bit earlier, but something I really wanted to ask you ladies, and this is particularly so because I noticed that it did come up in your research for your app, was the trend that women appear to be more in tune with the climate crisis than men. And now at Field Change, we do a lot of work with secondary schools, and even in that setting, we find that we have a higher proportion of females engaging with the work that we do than we do males. I mean, just a quick anecdote for you, even in one school that will be running the challenge programme as part of their curriculum in academic session 22-23, there are 20 girls in that class compared to only 7 boys. So why do you think that is? And I mean, we might all be slightly biased here because we are a group of all women. So if there are any men listening to the podcast and they want to put their comments in, then please do. But yeah, what do you ladies think about that? And do you think there is a trend that women seem to be more, maybe not more active, but certainly more conscious of what's going on in terms of climate change?
It's a difficult question. I think, for example, I'll give it kind of like another context then. Women will be more conscious when it turns, like in fashion, for example, as well. We'll be more conscious about the price, or even if you do a food shop, we'll be more conscious about the date when it expires. So I'm not sure if it's a bold statement, but if women are a bit more conscious in general compared to men.
Yeah.
But it's a difficult one. Because I think, again, equally both genders are exposed to how bad climate change is, like throughout school. So you'll be in lectures and, we're both having the same content, but I'm not sure if then women process the actual issue differently compared to men. It may be some sort of psychology to it, but
I'm not entirely sure because, like Alicia said, we kind of get taught it the same in schools, like on a very like surface level, but maybe women in there or like outside of that get told about it more. So, like as I mentioned earlier, I feel like more women are into the fast fashion. So maybe because like they're into that, they're now becoming aware of their impact more if they carry on doing that. And maybe it's just kind of the different like routes they take in life and different things that just happen to do online that they see more, even just like something small as like an advert or something like that about it.
Sarah, what about you?
Yeah, it's a hard one to comment on because I think whenever we kind of reviewed all the results from a market research, I think we were quite surprised by it. But yeah, I think it maybe is an element of, as Alicia said, women maybe just being more conscious in general. Yeah, that's a hard one.
No, it's a good point. And I mean, the people it's something that we at Fuel Change are really interested in because we see it quite a lot and we're really surprised by it. And it's that we don't know why. And it's certainly not to say that that men don't care about it or nothing like that at all. And some of the feedback we've had from schools is that actually because girls mature slightly faster than boys, that they are thinking ahead and they've got this little bit more engagement with this sort of, we live on this planet and we're all going to be impacted by these things. And there might even be a little bit of that sort of more naturally caring side to some women who are a wee bit more conscious about, all right, my kids are going to need to live in this world, so what do I want it to look like for them? But I just found it really interesting how a lot of women in your survey said that they would be more what was it they said, that they'd be more interested or more likely to use your app, or that they were more inclined to be thinking of their food waste?
it was both actually. So more women were more environmentally conscious, that word again. And and also be interested in using the app as well, I think. And also, I'm not sure if it's because women, we do like to discuss topics. So if we were fed we all went into, I'll give an example of like a lecture, and we all had a lecture on climate change, and then us girls will probably have discussed it after, whereas the boys probably won't discuss it after. I'm not sure. So perhaps because we just discuss more topics and yeah.
Yeah, sure. We like to talk more.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to have to start rounding things off soon, and it's been an absolute delight talking to you, and I've thoroughly enjoyed hearing about your solution and your reflections on the challenge programme. But before we go, reflecting on your own experience in Fuel Change, I would like to know from each of you in a short statement these 3 things. So what was your biggest challenge that you personally faced? What was your highlight? And what advice would you give to people who are about to start the next Fuel Change challenge? So Alicia, I'll come to you first.
My biggest challenge was definitely the confidence and trying to be the extrovert, even though I'm an introvert. And the biggest, was it the highlight?
Your biggest highlight, yeah.
I think embracing the challenge and learning new things, but also meeting Sarah and Hannah, and how we've come together as a team. That was one of my biggest highlights. And the advice to give to the next people, I think just kind of embrace it and go for a topic that is out of your comfort zone. I think that's where you'll learn a lot more.
Sarah, for you, your biggest challenge, your highlight, and a piece of advice.
I think the biggest challenge was definitely that final presentation and having the confidence to do it. But I'm glad we got there. And yeah, for the highlights, I'd say probably getting to work with Hannah and Alicia, because I think we really did come together as a team. But it was also really nice receiving the feedback after the presentation. That was a nice moment. And yeah, my advice would be just go for it and enjoy it. It's a great way to educate yourself about climate issues, and you get to work with new people and throw yourself into something new.
Great. And Hannah?
I think the biggest challenge for me was kind of at the start when it was creating an idea. Sometimes like I can struggle with that. So like these girls really helped to like the idea grow, and it was just really good to work with them. But definitely my biggest challenge sometimes is having that initial spark of creativity. I'd say my highlight again, it would be meeting Alicia and Sarah. I definitely wouldn't have been the same without them, and just feel really lucky to have been put in a group with them randomly.
Aww, guys!
The piece of advice I'd give is definitely embrace it, and I think a lot of people assume they know a lot about climate change already, and this challenge will definitely open your eyes to different things you'd never thought about before. So take it on with both hands, and you actually might create a Dragon's Den worthy idea.
I love that. And you three are clearly going to be friends after this, I'm sure.
Yeah, definitely. We're going to try and meet up together.
You're going to need to keep... Yes, we've never met in person.
We've never met in person.
How will we ever know how tall each other are?
I never even thought about that.
It'd just be like a descending order.
Amazing. So there we have it. Thank you so much for joining me on today's episode as we reflected on the Big Tons Challenge and heard about the Jacobs ladies' experience, from coming up with an app to help tackle food waste, to how they have developed their own skills that they can use in their career, and to why we think women seem to be more engaged in the climate crisis. So Alicia, Hannah and Sarah, thank you so much for giving up your time today to come and talk to us. To our listeners, as always, we love to hear your comments, feedback and reactions, so please do get in touch and let us know your thoughts on everything that you've heard today, including any questions that you might have for the Jacobs team, because I'm sure they'd be more than happy to answer them for you. And I've just signed you ladies up to some more work, so I hope you're okay with that. So through talking to the Jacobs team, we've learned that climate action can meet individual and business ambition. So until next time, stay safe and be curious.